Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin and its whole scaling debate. I know a lot of people might not know that much about it, but you've heard some things from Bitcoin Cash and the Bitcoin core development team sort of fighting against each other, and especially Roger Ver, who personally, in my opinion, isn't the best character to be the front of a lot of this. But there's still some good debates for both sides. And one thing that has come up recently is this whole idea of BlockStream sort of taking advantage of the Bitcoin core. And so today I'm going to be talking about all of that. I think it's extremely interesting if you're into cryptocurrency and the whole scaling debate for the future of cryptocurrencies. And a quick disclaimer before I get into this video. I'm going to try not to be opinionated and show both sides of the argument, but obviously there might be some opinion just inherently since I'm telling you guys this story. So I highly recommend you use some of the sources that I use in this video, along with do extra research to formulate your own opinion on what you think is better and what you think the future of Bitcoin is going to be. But overall, I'm going to try to keep it the most fact-based as possible and just throw my opinion in a little bit here and there. But anyways, let's get right into the video. So recently I have seen a few videos from people claiming that BlockStream is really controlling Bitcoin and using it to profit for themselves. And I'll talk about how they profit for themselves in a little bit. But first off, I want to mention the whole idea of BlockStream controlling Bitcoin. So a lot of people have came to formulate this idea after BlockStream hired some very, very talented and prominent Bitcoin developers. Actually, out of the 25 top commenters on the Bitcoin GitHub, 5 of them are BlockStream employees. So that sort of shows who they're going for. They're going for people who have experience and people who previously developed the blockchain area specifically on Bitcoin. So I thought that was interesting. And overall, they have actually developed 20% of all of the Bitcoin commits ever on the GitHub page. So what that means is that they've done a lot of work on Bitcoin itself. But something interesting is that since they've joined BlockStream, so since they've actually joined the company, it's actually only been 16% of it from 4 people from BlockStream. So whenever you hear all these articles saying BlockStream controls Bitcoin and they're just going to make it to profit for themselves, I personally think that's not really true. If you have 16% or only 4 out of the top 25 commenters on the GitHub page for Bitcoin who work for BlockStream, I think 16% is certainly not enough to be, classified as the entire controller from BlockStream. All this information is actually coming from this article here on Medium, which I will leave a link to in the description down below. I highly suggest you read it if you are interested in seeing how much control BlockStream really has. And actually, with the BIPS or Bitcoin improvement proposals, there are actually only 3 out of 25 for the Bitcoin improvement proposals side. So that means once you actually get into deeper development, once you get into more work going on to Bitcoin, there's actually only 3 out of the top 25 commenters who work for BlockStream, which means that that's only about 12% of Bitcoin itself. So a combined total of how much BlockStream has done work to Bitcoin and how much they've controlled sort of is around 14.25% over all of the work reviewed. And that's approximate, it's not exact, but that's sort of how much control they have over the actual chain itself and how much work they've put into it in order to benefit themselves, or at least that's what people say. So I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to sort of put that in perspective, as a lot of people say that BlockStream gets a ton of funding and they own Bitcoin and they develop the entire Bitcoin. But it's definitely not true at all. You can see 14.25%. But one quote I thought was interesting that I saw in the comment section for this Medium article is that one rotten apple can spoil the whole bunch, meaning if there is one group of people, one prominent company who works on the blockchain core, on the Bitcoin core, then they can sort of spoil the entire thing and make it bad and try to, put it for themselves instead of the overarching public, which I thought that was interesting. So overall, I just wanted to start off by saying that they have 14.25% of Bitcoin's work in Comet under their belt. That's how much they own. And now we'll get on to the next part. this is where a lot of the scaling debate happens on Bitcoin. You're saying, what's better, Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Core? And I'm just using these two as they are the most popular. Most people say I'm either a supporter of Bitcoin Cash or a supporter of Bitcoin Core. Then you have a lot of other projects going on that are trying to increase scalability of Bitcoin Core through different ways. But these are the two main ones I'm going to talk about today, as I think they're the best to compare since they are the largest currently. So they are two different scaling attempts. Bitcoin Core uses side chains to take the stress off the main chain and not increase block size, whereas Bitcoin Cash is increasing the block size, as they believe since it has worked in the past, there is no reason to stop it. So quickly, let me explain this. So what Bitcoin Cash is trying to do is Bitcoin Cash is trying to just increase the block size so each block can have more transactions in it, therefore increasing the transactions per second on Bitcoin and making it more efficient. Now, their argument for that is that Bitcoin has been using this method in the past in order to scale up to where we are now, but the limit has been made on Bitcoin, where on Bitcoin Core, they're actually not increasing that block size limit anymore. Meaning that Bitcoin Cash is using this method and increasing their block size to be faster and have lower fees, whereas Bitcoin Core is no longer doing that, and that's making some big holdups for Bitcoin, and that's why we're seeing sometimes these massive fees whenever a ton of people start to send transactions and long wait times because the block size is capped. So what is Bitcoin Core trying to do to combat this? They're trying to make side chains. So what side chains are is a side chain is a chain or a blockchain built off of Bitcoin that's connected to Bitcoin via some sort of backing method, meaning that if you create a side chain on Bitcoin, so if this is a side chain and this is the Bitcoin network, you can convert Bitcoin to the side chain coin and vice versa. So a side chain coin is backed by Bitcoin, meaning you can transfer it through the blockchain and convert it into either one, but it can have its completely own new technology and faster verifications, anything you want. The side chain can be its complete own thing with better technology, and then just have Bitcoin backed for itself. So that's very interesting, as side chains are almost like a currency built off of Bitcoin, and then you have Bitcoin backing it. So it's almost like gold backing the dollar. You know, if $1 is equal to 1 pound of gold, then, you know, the gold is backing the dollar. So if one coin on the side chain is equivalent to 0.001 Bitcoin on the main chain, then that makes it so the side chain coin is stable in price and follows Bitcoin as it moves. So I thought that was very interesting. And so all these sidechain arguments are because that's another way to scale Bitcoin, where you can just make a main sidechain, for example, for all small transactions, similar to Litecoin. Litecoin is not a sidechain, but you can make a sidechain that can be something like Litecoin, where it just is purely for the fact that you get super fast transactions, yet it's still backed by Bitcoin and still connected to the main Bitcoin chain. So that is what BlockStream is trying to do, and here's where all the controversy comes up. So BlockStream isn't necessarily a mining company, so they don't really decide who controls Bitcoin in this way. All they do is they profit off side chains, which in turn could be a conflict of interest. But as seen before, there's no legitimate reason why an alternative party can't stop them. So BlockStream is trying to profit off sidechains by offering a service to companies in order to build sidechains for them. So you might be saying, you know, how can they profit from this? Well, first off, sometimes the companies have to pay them to develop the sidechain, and then BlockStream can also make profit off of fees on the sidechain, so they can claim the fees for themselves. So in other words, making a sidechain is very profitable for BlockStream. Now, people are saying if BlockStream controls Bitcoin, then it's a conflict of interest, because they're saying they don't want Bitcoin to get big. They only want the side chains to become more powerful so they can make more money creating side chains and just leave the blockchain or the original Bitcoin blockchain to die. Now, the thing is, like I said before, if they only own 14.25% of the work done on Bitcoin, then I really don't think that they would, you know, have all of this in mind in their interest, along with other factors such as other contributors and miners who get to decide where Bitcoin's headed. I don't really think BlockStream has complete control over Bitcoin at all. I think BlockStream should just be seen as a company that makes side chains, which is extremely profitable. And that's sort of just the way that they're going to scale Bitcoin, but it's not necessarily a necessity or something that should be controversial in my opinion, since you do have other ways to scale it that are currently being explored by other developers. So let me wrap this up. I know that might have been very confusing for some of you guys, but Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core are two different scaling routes in order to make Bitcoin better and faster for the future. And personally, I see Bitcoin Cash as a more feasible scaling attempt with a less centralized authority and profitability from alternative companies. Since you have side chains who can profit companies who make them, and I think it sort of leaves behind the main Bitcoin chain to die. So personally, I see Bitcoin Cash as a better scaling solution for the future. But this, however, is not taking into account mining or any other issues with Bitcoin in general, which is still present on both chains. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. What's better, BlockStream with their sidechain solution or Bitcoin Cash with increasing the block sizes? And by the way, guys, there is still so many other scaling solutions possible, but these were the two main prominent ones. One other one is the Lightning Network, and there are always also going to be other developments as they come up of different ways to scale Bitcoin, but I always think it's super interesting to see where the general public sits. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you have found it interesting and you have learned something about blockchain and how it will scale in the future. And see you guys in the next video.